These are alarmed via performance thresholds, and those kind of fall into two categories. There's static thresholds as well as dynamic thresholds. So a static threshold is either a high or a low watermark, and when it gets exceeded, it's going to flip an alarm in the user interface, and that's going to be different from like a service alert, which I'll show you in a little while. But the important thing to remember about performance thresholds is that they're all measured against a time period. So the time period is a running average, and we will only alert when the value is over the critical threshold for that time period. So if you set them like this one, for example, where it's a 15-minute time period, you have to be over 65% utilization as a 15-minute running average. And that could be one big spike, and maybe you were running at 60% and then you spiked to 90%. That could push the average over, or it could be if it's running very low, it's got to be a sustained spike. But this is how we limit false alerts, that that this is something that has been going on for a little while, because that's how it trips the alarm. And if it gets notified too often, you can change those time periods, and we look at those every 5 minutes. Anomaly thresholds are configured as a deviation from a previous value. So this allows you to look at different types of thresholds, like rate of change. So you can get alerted if things change really rapidly. You can compare it to a previous date and time. So you can say, is this behavior unusual for 1 o'clock on a Tuesday? Or is this behavior unusual for what's going on in the 26th of the month? And then there's also the time period. So you can also do that same thing with as you would with a static threshold, where you can avoid getting notified by spikes by spreading things out. And with anomaly thresholds, the thing to remember is that very low values in anomaly thresholds can be deceiving. So for example, if I set an anomaly threshold of 1,000%, but it's only running at 1/1000th, then it's still just 1. So that's going to be something that I want to be mindful of when I'm going through and running and setting my performance thresholds.